It doesn't matter how long you've been reading tarot cards. The court cards can sometimes be a bit of a mystery. And the Pentacle court cards, these ones can show up as the builders, the steady makers, and the people or the energies that are focused on the physical world, building a better life. So in this video, I'm going to use my court card decoder to break down what each one represents and how their energy might shift when they're paired with other cards, because I will be pulling some random cards to show you how the combinations can be read based on this decoder. Before I jump into the Page of Pentacles, here's a quick refresher on this court card decoder in case this is your first video watching it. It uses 3 pieces to help figure out what the court card means and how it interacts with the other cards in a spread. The first thing is the identity, who or what it represents. Second is the energy. Is it helpful? Is it negative? Is it challenging? What shows up with this card and the cards surrounding it? And the third thing is the action. How does this card interact with the other cards? What's happening within the card? And so on and so forth. So let's get started with the Page of Pentacles, and I'll pop that on the screen so you can take a look at it. So as a person, this Page of Pentacles represents perhaps a student, someone who's practical, someone who's focused, someone who's eager to learn something, someone wanting to make money, maybe. These are the ones that are making lists, saving money for something important, or testing new skills in the real world. If this card shows up as a situation, it could be a new job, taking a new course, a hands-on project. It could be making a plan for your money, health, or home. It could also be exploring a hobby or a side hustle that you've been wanting to take a little more seriously. Now, when this shows up as energy, as positive energy, it could be grounded curiosity, steady progress, setting realistic goals, and open to new learning. Negatively, this could show up as someone who's hesitant, playing it too safe, getting stuck in the planning stages, or just missing bigger opportunities. So for action, how this card interacts with other cards, if there's other positive cards surrounding it, this could show that yes, there's steady progress, making smart choices, something solid beginning to take shape. If there's other negative cards surrounding it, it might show delays, fear of risk, or clinging to comfort zones. If this shows up with more Wands cards, it can show passion that turns into a workable plan, or testing ideas, trying to be practical about something. If it shows up with more Swords, it might be about learning through observation, could be overthinking, or second guessing the steps that are involved in whatever it is you're doing. If this shows up with more Cups cards, it can be about investing in something that feels meaningful. It's about valuing emotional security and stability. Now, if it shows up with a lot of other Pentacles, it could be about a solid commitment, long-term potential in building things, and it could be steady but slow growth. So let's pull some other tarot cards to see what's going to match with this Page of Pentacles. First card is the 7 of Wands. The 8 of Wands. So the Page of Pentacles with the 8 of Wands is, to me, talking about the things that you're planning in that page stages, that when you focus everything in one direction, you are allowing that energy to keep flowing. So the identity here, to me, would be you have to be focusing your actions all in one direction, because Wands are about action taking. And it's really showing that when you show up doing things in the same way, it's going to help bring things into fruition for you. Let's pull another one. And it depends on what the question is that you've asked in the first place. I'm just giving a random, what I'm picking up intuitively from these, as well as using that decoder to kind of figure things out. So we have the Fool with the Page of Pentacles. So depending on which position it shows up in, to me, it's a similar card. When I see the page with this Fool, it's showing you that you're beginning something new, and You have that wonder and energy about you, very hyper focused, just like the Fool has his eyes closed, but he is turned in the direction he feels he needs to go. And he's just about to step into oblivion because he trusts everything about it. Now, with this Page of Pentacles, he's looking directly at that pentacle. So he's putting all of his focus there, and he's bringing trust into that situation. So depending on what this would be about, if it's about money, this is saying whatever endeavor you're doing, if you focus so fully on it, that's going to take you to the next stage. And from there, you're going to be able to figure out what you need to do, how you need to be, who you need to interact with. So to me, this is really highlighting somebody who is new at something, somebody who is at the beginning stages of something in their physical world. All right, that's it for the Page of Pentacles. Let's move on to now the Knight of Pentacles, and we'll pop that onto the screen. So as a person, this is someone who is reliable. They're hardworking, they're dependable. It's steady progress. It's not a lot of action, it's not a lot of speed, but it is steady progress. It's a person who finishes what they start. They're going at a pace that's slow enough that they can take note of any mistakes they might make so they can correct them as they go. They stick to the plan. They show up on time, even when it doesn't feel exciting. This is somebody, the Knight of Pentacles is someone you can rely on. So as a situation, this is showing that consistency pays off, sticking with the commitment, getting the job done, focusing on long-term results, not quick wins, not instant gratification, but something that you build over a longer term. So for energy, this can show up positively as someone who is reliable, responsible, and committed to that steady progress. If it shows up negatively, it could feel like inflexible, stubborn, overly cautious, or boringly predictable. So for action, how this interacts with other positive cards, it can be about building momentum, building strength, reinforcing stability, and creating dependable outcomes. If it shows up with more negative cards, it can reveal stuckness, stagnation, burnout, or even fear of change. If it shows up with more Wands cards, it could be about big ideas, turning that excitement, though, into an actual plan of action. If it shows up with more Swords cards, could be someone who's a careful thinker, someone who really plans things out, someone who double checks those details, or it could be somebody who could be overly critical. If it shows up with more Cups cards, could be someone who's emotionally steady, someone who feels detached, or overly practical in sensitive situations. And if it shows up with more Pentacles surrounding it, could really show that there's a strong foundation. This is really excellent for financial or health related matters. So let's pull some tarot cards to go to pair with this Knight of Pentacles. So we have Knight of Pentacles and Judgment. This, as you can see, could show up as somebody who is focused more on what other people think. It could be somebody who takes things a little too slowly and is judged for it. But it can also be somebody who is focused on doing things right, so it keeps them on task. Be interesting to see what the question would be for something like that. Let's pull another one. We have the Knight of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. This could show up as that careful thinker of somebody who is like, oh, well, we could do things this way, but we also could do things that way. This could be something that really highlights procrastination, because this Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight in the deck. But it could also show that if you're careful and you weigh the pros and cons, you're more likely to take the action and have something to show for it. All right, let's move on to the Queen of Pentacles. So she, as a person, identifies as someone who is nurturing, someone who has a warm personality, someone who's practical and resourceful. Maybe someone who manages a home, money, well-being, but they do it like they're a pro. This is a person everyone leans on when life gets messy. So if this identifies as a situation, it could be about creating security for yourself or others. This could be about managing health, finances, or family matters. It could also be about turning something simple into something valuable. So for energy, if this shows up positively, it's about being grounded, it's nurturing, generous, wise, someone who balances their resources in a practical way. If it shows up negatively, it could be about micromanaging, overgiving, neglecting personal needs, or someone who's overly materialistic. Now, for action, how this interacts with other cards, if they're more positive cards, this could bring in that stability, care, and practical solutions. If it shows up with more negative cards, maybe it's someone who's overextended themselves, they're neglecting their own needs, or they get stuck in that caretaker mode. If this shows up with more wands, it could be about supporting creative things in their life, having more resources, and taking practical steps. If it shows up with more swords, it could be about cutting through any drama, offering clear, grounded advice. Depends on the cards that show up. If it shows up with more cups, it could be about nurturing those emotional connections through tangible actions. And if it shows up with more pentacles like itself, it could be about a strong financial or health outcome and about creating abundance. So let's pull some tarot cards to go along with that. Let's pair those together. So Queen of Pentacles with the Lovers. So this really feels like it could be mother energy, someone who has a great relationship, someone who is the stable one in a relationship. It could be about loving what you do, and that's what brings a lot of prosperity. Let's pull another one. And then we have the Eight of Cups with the Queen of Pentacles. So this to me shows someone who is willing to walk away because there's something better that they're walking towards. They're trusting their grounded connection, and they've milked that situation for all it's worth, and there's nothing left, and it's just time to move on. It's trusting and knowing when it's time to move on. So that's what I get for the Queen. Let's move on to the last of the court cards, and it's the King of Pentacles. And I'll pop it up on the screen. This is for identity. As a person, this shows up as a provider, someone who's successful, steady, grounded. This is the person who's worked the hardest for what they have, and they're not afraid to show it. It's a leader in business, finances, or in the home. And I also see this as someone who could be retired. They've done what they need and they're moving on. As a situation, this could be mastery in work, money, or health. It could be about leading by example, taking care of responsibilities, someone who's showing someone else the ropes because they have the experience. And it could also show that long-term investments are paying off. Who doesn't want that? Woohoo! So now we move forward into the energy. And if this King of Pentacles shows up with more positive cards, it's about secure, responsible, someone who's wise with money or even resources, someone who is generous when it matters. If it shows up with more negative cards, it could be someone who's materialistic, stubborn, controlling, or someone who values status over connections. So for action, how this interacts with other cards, if there's more positive cards, it could bring lasting success, stability, and leadership. If it shows up with more negative cards, it can show greed, control issues, or fear of financial loss. If it shows up with more wands cards, it's about putting passion into practical action and coming up with a solution. It's about building empires, not just having ideas. If it shows up with more swords, it could be about strategic thinking and making calculated decisions that definitely pay off. If it shows up with more cups, it could be someone who cares deeply but might struggle to express themselves, or someone who really knows how to express themselves. Depends on the cups. And if it shows up with other pentacles, it's about solid, grounded energy, like solid wealth, health, and home security. So let's pull some cards to see what pairs with this. Ooh. So with the King of Pentacles, we have the 10 of Cups. So when these two show up together, it's showing you that everything, like it's walking into the sunset is how I see it. You know, happily ever after. Everything is working out. Everything you've been focused on and building toward is coming to fruition. I love that. And the other one that popped up is the 6 of Wands. So pairing that with the King of Pentacles, it's showing that whatever you've done, you're going to be recognized for it. You're going to be known for it. It's going to bring you success. Your notoriety is going to bring you stability and success into your material world. Well, there you have it. That's it for the Pentacle Court cards. If you're ready to ditch the guesswork in your readings, why don't you get my Tarot Playbook? It's part journal, part reference guide. There's a whole bunch of spreads for all occasions, and it's designed to help you actually use your cards, not just sit and memorize the meanings. It's only $9 Canadian, and I'll drop a link in the description. So be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and we'll see you in another video. Peace.